Health and Awareness series. Up till now, we have covered very important topics in women, the menstrual disorders. Say, for example, we've discussed about fibroids, we've discussed about endometriosis, menstrual disorders, we've discussed the problems of infertility. Now here we are today to discuss one of the most important problem as far as the reproductive system is concerned, and that is the problem of PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome. And one of the most condition which is associated with PCOS is obesity. So we'll be discussing a few relevant points related to obesity also. Although in 1935, scientists or the gynecologists of the old time, Stein and Leventhal, described this condition of PCOS, today it has become the most common of a multisystem disorder. This condition primarily, by definition, is involving process of anovulation. Now what does that mean? It means that the child when she starts menstruating is not ovulating every month properly. Now why is there a lack of ovulation? The lack of ovulation is because of unnecessary hormones increasing in the blood. Now what are these unnecessary hormones? The male type of hormone or androgen levels in blood increase in patients with PCOS. So that girl child who has PCOS lands up with the symptoms of hyperandrogenism. What does that mean? Excessive hair growth at unwanted place. Say for example on the mustache, beard, abdominal wall, near the breast areola, she starts developing the hair growth. Now apart from this hyperandrogenism and anovulation, this girl on sonography lands up with a picture of multiple immature follicles round the surface of the ovary. Now what happens actually with PCOS? There is insulin resistance in the peripheral tissues. What does that mean? Because of the resistance to the activity of insulin hormone which is released from the pancreas, the blood levels of insulin are high. The fasting blood glucose also can be high. The fasting serum insulin levels are high, glucose is high, and that is what reduces the levels of sex hormone binding globulin. Once the levels of SHBG are low, the levels of free circulating testosterone or male hormone increase in blood. The levels of luteinizing hormone are more and the levels of follicle stimulating hormone are relatively low. Then what happens? The follicle formation is prevented because of high androgen or male hormone levels and high luteinizing hormone levels, and this leads to the process of agenesis of the follicles or the lack of ovulation. So now what happens? There are other consequences of PCOD. The first consequence of because of lack of ovulation, there is lack of conception, because if there is no egg, from where is this girl going to help herself in the process of reproduction? So there is problem of infertility. Because of high levels of blood glucose, there is predisposition to the development of type 2 diabetes mellitus. Now because of high androgens in the blood, there can be a possibility of high blood pressure. So you understand the sequence of events. One leads to the development of metabolic syndrome X. So this genesis of metabolic syndrome further leads to the other complications related to diabetes, hypertension, and other cardiovascular problems. The most important other problem which is associated with PCOS is the problem of obesity. What are the common factors which are responsible for obesity and PCOS? Let us discuss one by one. The first is exercise. Lack of exercise is a proved factor which is important for development of PCOS as well as obesity. How are they connected? Because of obesity, there is high production of the male type of hormone, and this male type of hormone leads to conversion into estrogen or the excessive of female type of hormone. Now these high circulating levels of estrogen further inhibit the process of ovulation. So you can understand that obesity and PCOS go hand in hand. What is the other important factor? The diet. It is such an important topic. What should I eat? What should I not eat? See, all these factors are very important. We cannot discuss it in a short span. But let me tell you one thing, that the timing of meal is important. The interval between the two meals is important. The type of food what you eat is important. Not only that, but the cooked or the excessively cooked or the processed food, the use of preservatives, the more the processing of the food is involved, all that is very bad for health. Instead, lot of fresh fruits, colorful vegetables, these are all essential articles because they provide you lot of antioxidants, they provide you less of calories, and the meals which are eaten at proper intervals definitely help in maintaining a proper metabolic rate of the body, helpful for reducing the excess fat. The third and the most important point is lifestyle. Sleeping early, getting up early is very important. You may not realize the importance, but let me tell you, melatonin is the hormone which is released from the pineal gland, which is the most important hormone as far as the maintenance of the reproductive hormones in the blood is concerned. We have discussed it, if you remember, in the physiology of normal menstrual cycle. It has been observed that under a disturbed lifestyle, the levels of the melatonin hormones are disturbed, which lead to the process of anovulation. So you realize the importance of all this. It is observed also that in lack of adequate sleep is responsible for production of excessive estrogen receptors either on the uterus or on the breast. So now you understand the coexistence of other pathologies in patients with PCOS. If a patient has PCOS, there is a high likelihood of that girl developing fibroids. There is high likelihood that that patient will develop breast problems. There is also a high probability that this girl will have the problem of endometriosis. So you realize one thing, that these things are absolutely interlinked to each other. I'll tell you one more important and very interesting thing. If you have inadequate sleep, apart from releasing excessive estrogen hormone, there is also an imbalance which is noticed in leptin and ghrelin hormones. What happens? Patients who have excessive obesity have resistance to leptin hormone. They have resistance to insulin hormone. See, now all the hormones which are necessary for proper functioning of body, if you start developing resistance to these hormones, will they not create problem? If there is leptin resistance, the ghrelin hormone takes over, you tend to eat more. See, whenever there is an urge to eat, what does it mean? It means that the center in the brain which satisfies the hunger, that is called satiety center, the setting of that satiety center is set very high. So you don't feel satisfied after eating small morsels of food. So it becomes a very vicious cycle that you go on eating and the satiety center does not give you the signal of being satisfied. You understand the disturbance in the milieu or disturbance in the homeostasis or balance of these hormones leads to the problems associated with obesity. Now, besides correcting the lifestyle, the diet, the exercise needs to be included. What is the other important factor that needs to be corrected for PCOS patients? That is the factor of stress. Your strategies to cope up with the stress, and that is how one can definitely tackle the problem of PCOS. So, in short, how will you tackle the problem of PCOS? Number one, by visiting the doctor in time, understand exactly the reason why it is happening. Two, adapt the strategies. If you have to reduce weight, you have to have a determination in the mind that yes, I am going to do it, and yes, I can do it. If you go with that determination, set up a goal for yourself. You can't have impractical targets to set, and then if you fail, you'll end up with further frustration. It serves no purpose. So, setting up the proper goal is equally important. Adopt a methodology which will help you to cope up with the stressful situation. Properly chart your diet in such a way that you will definitely get adequate nutrients. You will get adequate calories. At the same time, you will not help yourself to deposit excessive fat, which is not necessary for you. To prevent the problems which can later occur because of obesity or PCOS, these are the preventive strategies we learn to adopt. You will be surprised to know what are the other conditions associated with obesity. Obesity can lead to heart disease, hyperlipidemia, that is the cholesterol and triglycerides levels in your blood get altered, leading to reducing the thickness of the intimal layer of the blood vessels. There can be NIDDM, that non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, osteoarthritis, mood disorders, depression is very common, sleep disorders leading to sleep apnea, eating disorders, gout. You can have gallbladder disease, some type of cancers, hypertension. The list is unending, and it is actually a horrifying list. If you want to reduce obesity, as I mentioned initially, you have to correct on a lot of fronts. Even the smell of the food is important as far as the appetite or the satiety is concerned. The stretching of the gastric mucosa once the food goes in the food pipe in the stomach is also important. So what is more important is deceiving the brain too. I'll give you an example. If you are having one gulab jamun, if you eat that gulab jamun very fast, by the time the brain realizes the gulab jamun is in the stomach, so the stretch reflex or the smell or the sight of the food, it hardly gets any time to satisfy the brain. So what should you be doing? Eat one gulab jamun, but eat it so slowly, eat very, very small bites over a period of time, and brain gets the signal as though you've been eating gulab jamuns for last half an hour, and then the center of satiety or the satisfaction signals that, oh, you've had enough of gulab jamuns. So, like deceiving the brain. So, eating small portions of food can also satisfy you. It's just a question of training your hypothalamus, pituitary and target organ axis. And this can be done beautifully by training the mind, training the emotions, and training the body, which is an integral part of the expression of your intellect. So by now you have realized that yes, it has a solution. It's not that PCOS and obesity cannot be tackled. It just needs determination. Even RCOG guidelines say that proper exercise, reduction of weight up to even 20 to 25%, the girl lands up with a normal process of ovulation. So a proper exercise schedule, proper diet, good lifestyle and reduction of stress, adopting proper strategies to do all this definitely helps to tackle the problem of PCOS. So it's not that only medicines are the solution, only ovulation induction drugs are going to be the solution. The drilling of the ovaries by laparoscopy is the solution. No, it is nothing like that. Control of obesity and control of emotions and our behavioral pattern definitely has an impact on controlling PCOS.